Yeah, life isn't fair. After 3 episodes of people saying like, hey, we're at war, we finally see some war. We're reminded what happens when there's a war with two sides having nukes. Spoilers if you aren't up to date. The casting director for the show is insanely petty. They could have cast someone who was biracial looking like Lenore, just to add a little bit of like, oh, maybe this is someone else's kid. But instead they find the spitting image of Corlys Velaryon. I did like the added detail that Rhaenys knew about this man. It adds a lot of color to their complex relationship and their clear reconciliation. But the book trying to say that Corlys hid this bastard from Rhaenys for how many years didn't fit either one of their characters. And so I'm glad they cleared that up. Daemon is out here fighting demons. I did think that Alice Rivers was right on the line of Manic Pixie Dream Girl, especially when she dropped that I'm an owl in woman's form line. I'm gonna chalk it up to the game and the time period that this is set. Love themselves some Millie Acock, and you know what? I do too. I was happy to see her back. Very telling that Daemon's first instinct to quiet Rhaenyra was violent. He didn't bring that same energy when he saw himself as Aemon. I also noticed that we see Aemon in the same position that Daemon jumped him in. Finally, Daemon is wild for drinking that yak from this woman. Like a couple days ago, you wouldn't even try that venison that Strong cooked up for you. Now you drinking juice from a witch that you've seen in your dreams? What's going on? I was really happy to see Jace come into his own and stand as a leader. What I really like is that he took the time to put the council in their place and still checked his mother when she pulled up. You went to see Alicent, bitch. This war has been going on since my brother got 8. And the show is doing this thing where they're going out of their way to make both queens seem very virtuous. And I'm not quite sure why they did it. I was ready to support Rhaenyra's war crimes back in season 1 when she turned around on that fireplace. Then I was ready to support her again when they sent a twin to parent trap her to death. I'm glad that she knows the truth, but again, they're like they said, at what cost? The Alicent that I saw in this episode was the Alicent I expected to see back at Laena's funeral. Once again, they are trying to paint Alicent as this like ultra virtuous woman. It's just like getting caught up in the fight of men. That's always been really confusing, especially after the marketing that they did for the Greens versus the Blacks, which prominently shows both queens, Alicent and Rhaenyra, facing off. Both women have not been actively trying to participate in this war. Why not? They both have reasons. They kept on doing this thing where Alicent would say something, she would make a move, and then they'd step it back. Let her be the villain. Doing things like having her say, I don't lie, and then the next episode she's getting an abortion. This gives me whiplash. And honestly, this whole self-righteous victim thing that they're assigning to her character is taking out all the fun of it. So hard to like her. She's not funny. She's not ambitious. She's not particularly cunning. She doesn't even serve us cunt in these fly-ass outfits. So when I saw this scene between her and Aegon, it felt just so uncharacteristic. You saw glimpses of this in the episode where Aemon loses his eye. But like after the events of season 1, episode 9, and the woman we saw in the first 3 episodes, this woman stopped existing. Maybe they're saying now that she knows the truth, she's had enough, but it just all rang true. Especially since, yes, I forgot that she lied to Larys. Like he asked and she like omitted the truth, which is a lie. This woman is religious. She knows what's up. I was definitely happy to see Aemon get his leg back. He's been moving a little bit too foul, and I'm hoping they check him very soon. I thought that Larys made up that rumor that he told Aegon last episode, but I could definitely see it now. There was definitely something poetic about him breaking down his brother by just speaking their native tongue. How are you trying to be a colonizer and you speak in the colonized language? You don't know our own. Get up out of here. I will say one thing, that plan with Crispy, I thought was dumb. Which isn't surprising because Crispy Cole was a part of said plan. And although they were able to take out Meleys, was at a cost of the king, which is a huge blow, bigger than Rhaenys. Not the character, obviously I love her, but they also lost the dragon, which the Greens had less of anyway. They lost a lot of men on this seemingly one-sided fight. Yeah, they outnumbered that tiny little castle, but the choices they made put them at such a huge disadvantage. Crispy knew that. So he's not a good hand or a good commander. Wonder how he's gonna act after almost witnessing Aemon trying to kill his brother. He's soft, so he's probably not gonna do much, but maybe he'll surprise me like Alicent. I love how much personality we're getting from the dragon. It's a little nudge that Sunfire gives Aegon before they go out on their flight. Showed the connection between these two, but also how the dragon kind of brings on the personality of their riders. Like, no, she wasn't drunk like Aegon, but they looked like they were having a good time. Trust that to Rhaenys, who is old friends with her girl, made their bond so much more endearing. He raised the stakes of them going into battle. Side note, I don't really talk about future episodes or predictions. I wanted to highlight this scene that I saw in the trailer of them like parading around Meleese's head. I made a video a while back about how the fight isn't between Targaryens, but it's a fight between Targaryens and Hightower. This confirms it. Greens to me are not Targaryens. They remind me of like the biracial white mother type person, where they're taking the characteristics of the mother and none of their father. No Targaryen would do this. Not only does it show the people that the dragons are not these god animals and that they can be killed and maybe you shouldn't be afraid of them, but also dragons are sacred to the Targaryens. Op or no, you're not doing this. Your most valuable asset. Especially since we know Aegon is incapacitated in this episode. So that's showing that maybe Otto's back and he did this fuck shit, but I doubt it. But it's probably Aemon who, once again, is not connected to his culture. But man, was that fight good. I was on the edge of my seat. He did such a good job of not only scaling the dragons, but showing how destructive a fight between them can be. Every time they fell, even when they bled, it was burning people on the ground. And the aftermath was heartbreaking. This scene when Christian touches that soldier and he just crumbles, and then they show how much destruction happened, reinforced what Rhaenyra was saying about the cost of fighting with dragons and why they should be taking this so lightly. I read the book, so I knew this was coming, but it didn't make this any easier. It reminded me of watching Notorious to Biggie story, where I 1000% knew the outcome, thought maybe they changed the ending. Rhaenys and her dragon were in sync the entire time. This tender moment definitely broke my heart, but Meleese looking back like, girl, this hit for us really took me there. This was definitely a glorious death. Showed us that Rhaenys is that girl and definitely should have been our queen, which made me hate Jaehaerys all over again. The only thing I wish I saw was a recreation of this scene. This is an image from the book, and it was devastating to see. I was hoping that they would take the time to redo this, but I can't say confidently that they did enough to drive that devastation home. This episode was incredible. Gotta dock points for the inconsistency with these characters. I know this fight should give it a perfect score, but I'm fair, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it 3.5 out of 5 Frankie Flames.